Chapter 6. I remember being a kid following the live transmissions as humans took their first step on Mars. Humanity had been chasing their big colonization dream for multiple centuries, and we had finally made it. Already a handful of centuries before that historical landing, billionaires had privatized the space sector and made it their life's mission to be the first on Mars. They longed for something money could not buy, but none of them ever got to witness the landing. An endless chain of setbacks and disappointments had defined that space age. I wonder how they would react had they known they were looking in the wrong direction. Conventional propulsion was their biggest misstep. It would have never allowed humans to colonize Mars in a reasonable time frame. The breakthrough came with the invention of antimatter pulsar engines, which could reach speeds no one thought imaginable. Suddenly, the distance between Mars and Earth could be crossed within 30 days, then 25, then 20. Soon thereafter, we managed to reach near light speed velocity. If the early pioneers would have had that technology available in their time, they would have been able to spend a year or two in near light speed deep sleep to wake up in a new age. Instead, they died without the accomplishment they longed for, some even driven to insanity by the end of their lives. And here I am, orbiting what used to be a desolate, dusty planet. It took almost 500 years from that first step in the Martian dust to make it to what it is today. The vast, rusty-colored plains are dotted with domes, some so large you can make out individual ones from orbit. Some domes are transparent and act as greenhouses. They are clustered together and form pale green dots when seen from above. Martian space stations are in a fairly close orbit, and we get a pretty detailed look of the surface. You can even make out some of the lit-up tracks between the larger domes, the Martian highways, as they are called. Dust is a pretty big thing on Mars, but today's weather seems to be particularly calm, making for a spectacular view. The doctor's looking out of the cockpit window in awe as well. I've seen Mars before, a couple of times, not often, and definitely not in the stage it is today. There are more domes, and there seems to be more activity than I remember. After a minute, maybe 5 or 10, who knows, it's back to work. We need to come up with a plan to refuel this ship. My fuel reserves are now almost empty, and getting from Mars to any other place in a reasonable amount of time has become impossible. It needs to happen here and now. Here's the plan, I tell the doctor, who's still staring outside. It's good having someone to bounce ideas off, even if that someone has no practical experience with space travel, let alone how things work on Mars. For starters, I've changed our call sign. It's one of the advantages of having an older ship. I've had to do several software upgrades throughout the centuries, which includes patches to its identification system. I kept the old versions as a backup though, so I downgraded the ship's ID module to use my very first call sign. The doctor looks worried. Won't they recognize it as an outdated call sign? Well, there are still older ships arriving in this period. Some pioneers bet everything they had on one very long near light speed trip, so it's not unheard of for ships to have dissimilar call signs. Everyone should know how to deal with them. The modern systems are just more convenient. Anyway, it might give us a chance of not being flagged immediately. Makes sense. What else? We won't be able to refuel at any USN-owned station. That's way too risky, but there are a handful of privately owned stations in Martian orbit. Not as many as I remember there to be, but we only need one. They tend to ask fewer questions about visitors. They are obliged to report to the USN once every month or so, which would mean trouble for us, but by then we're already far gone. That's the plan. What do you think? Well, it sounds easy. In theory, it is easy. I've refueled here a handful of times when the Martian reactors were still abundant, and antimatter was cheaper here than on any other planet. But that's a long time ago. You better have some cash at hand because it's going to be expensive. Oh, don't worry about that. I've got you covered, the doctor reassures. So, he continues, just to be sure, are there any alternatives you can think of? No, as far as I know, this is our only option. He pauses for a moment and thinks. Finally, he says, well, then I'm good to go. You've done this before. Let's just act normal, and I'm sure it will be fine. Normal, I say to myself as I shift my gaze back outwards. I chuckle, half sarcastically. If all goes well, we should be on our way to the Oort cloud in 3 hours. We escaped Earth a little over a week ago because I'm a wanted criminal. I'm here with a doctor who apparently discovered time travel, and I don't even know where we're going. So, yeah, let's act normal. That reminds me, I say, I will need those coordinates before we engage in a full power-up. The doctor nods. I'll give them when refueling is done. Okay, here goes. Horizon 1, this is Big Bertha calling out. Do you copy? The doctor turns to me, barely holding it together. Big Bertha? He mouths. I know, I found it funny back then. I was young. Shut up. Big Bertha, this is Horizon 1. How are you today? The reply sounds more cheerful than what I'd expect. Horizon 1, we're all good. Just arrived from a pretty long trip and we're looking for refuelment. Can you help us with that? Big Bertha, that should be no problem. What kind of engine are you running? Horizon 1, I've got 2 separate antimatter pulsar engines Mark IV. Both need full refuelment. Big Bertha, copy that. Please proceed to Gate 8 and we'll have the injections ready for you. Please be advised that each injection will cost 50 MD, 50 Mars dollars. With a current conversion rate of 1 to 5, it's going to be expensive, indeed. Horizon 1, all fine. Big Bertha proceeding to Gate 8. Thank you. I pull off almost acrobatic maneuvers to dock at Gate 8. The station is so packed that the ship needs to be spinned sideways and extend the outriggers into their near light-speed flight configuration, just so that we can dock without crashing into anything. With the outriggers extended, the ship has now become as flat as possible, and we barely fit. We approach the gate head first, since the rear dock is occupied by the shuttle, so we need to dock with the frontal port. It makes the docking even more difficult as the outriggers extend mostly frontwards. Ideally, I'd move the shuttle to the front, but I don't want to risk spending another half an hour maneuvering around. But I know this ship like no other, and we dock without problems. Less than a minute later, the frontal airlock beeps, indicating that the valet wants to board. I float to the lower deck and open a gate. Good morning, sir. I was told you need full refuelement for both your engines. AP Mark IV, correct? He's tapping frantically on his tablet, not looking up. That's right, I need 10 injections per engine. Can these injections be accessed from the inside, sir? I'm afraid not. You'll need an EVA to reach them. I can help, if you want. Oh, that's okay, sir. It's part of the service. He now looks up for the first time and smiles. That's a pretty nice ship you have. Yeah, it's one of the few they made in my era. My grandfather designed it. Very reliable ships. I believe 9 were made, and all 9 of them are still operating after all these years. And then you named it Big Bertha, he says as a roaring laugh emerges from deep within his chest. I was young, I say, a little taken aback by his overwhelming presence. Valets on Mars are a whole different type of people than on Earth. Oh, believe me, sir, I understand it, no worries, he continues as he wipes away a tear. Okay, so full refuelement will take 15 minutes. I will need you to pay up front, though. Yeah, that's no problem. Hang on. I call the doctor downstairs. This is my travel companion. He's the one paying today. Very well, sir. That's 20 injections in total. Do you want to keep the depleted ones, or can we recycle them? Oh, feel free to recycle them, I reply. No need to waste any more time than necessary. Perfect. That's $1,200 in total then. $1,000 for the injections and $200 for the maintenance time. You can pay here. He holds the tablet in front of Dr. Russell. The doctor scans his wristband and the payment succeeds. First step done. We'll see each other in 15 minutes then? Perfect. See you then, sir. We move back up to the cockpit, sit in our chairs and watch for a couple of minutes as 4 technicians start their EVA. We can't see the back of the outriggers from within the cockpit, which is where the engines are located, but we see them going back and forth carrying depleted injections. So, Doc, a couple of pre-flight checks. I figure we might as well make good use of this time. After refueling, we travel to a safe takeoff position. When full power-up is completed, we'll start acceleration. It will be fast, really fast. The ship's equipped with G-shields, otherwise you would be squashed in an instant. You'll still experience a handful of Gs though. They were barely noticeable during our acceleration to Mars, but a full power-up to near light speed does carry some discomfort. Probably 3 to 4 Gs. Some people get used to it, others faint and stay unconscious during the entirety of acceleration. I could already put you in deep sleep if you want to, but don't worry about it. The doctor interrupts. I have had proper high G training a year ago. I will be fine. I have to admit, the doctor doesn't disappoint me. He is properly prepared. In fact, he's my first client who actually is. All others had no clue what space travel actually meant. Meanwhile, the technicians have started to load the new injections. They are efficient. Like I told you, I'll need those coordinates before power-up, ideally when we're leaving here. We're navigating the Oort cloud at near light speed, so the autopilot will need some time to calculate the best path. I'll share them with you as soon as we've undocked, the doctor assures me. Okay, the next step is to explain the first days of our journey and deep sleep. You might not... Another interruption, but this time it's the airlock beeping again. Someone's at the door. I float downstairs and I'm surprised to see the valet with 2 armed guards as the airlock opens. Any problems? I ask. They haven't finished refueling yet. They shouldn't have a reason to be here. As a matter of fact, sir, there is, the valet replies. All joy he had before seems to have dissipated. The payment of the gentleman traveling with you triggered a problem while processing. It turns out your client is wanted by the UN, so I'm sorry to inform you that he will have to come with us. Well, there goes my plan. I knew there was only a small chance of us going unnoticed, and it turns out the odds were stacked against us. The guards and valet are still standing in the docking tunnel, so I have no more than 2 seconds to make a decision before they enter the ship. I only need one though. I reach to the upper right corner of the airlock where the emergency disconnect button is located. In an instant, the docking port slides shut and we disconnect from the station. There's a loud bang and the doctor calls for me from the cockpit. I rush upstairs. Strap in, I tell him while looking over the dashboard. What happened? He asks in bewilderment. Strap in, I shout, ignoring his question. The 4 confused technicians are floating in front of the ship, making haste to get back to the station. The right outrigger has hit the station, but doesn't seem to have suffered any damage, at least as far as I can visually tell. I use the RCS to back out as fast as I can and turn around, then immediately thrust forward into higher orbit. What happened? The doctor asks again when we've cleared the station. You're wanted by the UN. That happened. Most likely there's a USN patrol on their way to intercept us, and those will be more heavyweight than the shuttles that chased us on Earth. I'm going to prepare for full power-up. Wait, they weren't done refueling yet. I know. I'm afraid your trip has been cancelled. No, that can't be, the doctor exclaims, for the first time seeming to lose his calm. Look, we can't make the trip you wanted to. We don't have enough fuel, but we do have enough for 1 power-up and slowdown. We can still skip enough years so that the UN will lose interest in us. No, you don't understand. There's only one chance of going to the place we're going to, and that's now. A delay won't work. I'm sorry, Doc. We tried, but it didn't work out. Unless you want to spend the rest of your life in jail, you'll have to let go of your plans. Wait, how many injections do we have? He asks. 14 out of 20, right? I shrug. There's no point. That's enough for a one-way trip, right? Oh, but I want to go back, Doc. I'm not going to give my life for your mission. No, you don't understand. You can get back. Okay, look, I'll tell you where we're going, but can you already prepare the power-up? I'm doing that anyway. Start talking. The holotype message we received on Earth. Remember that? I nod, and the doctor continues. It contained coordinates somewhere in the Oort cloud. We did as much research as we could on it from Earth and discovered a cluster of asteroids that could potentially contain tachyon. We sent an expedition to that place 3 years ago. 2 near-light-speed capable ships were able to set up camp within that region of space. There's much more to tell you about them, but I'll tell you when we've got more time. My mission is to join them. Both ships have antimatter reactors on board. You can refuel when we're there. I take a moment to let the doctor's words sink in. You have set up camp in the Oort cloud to do what? To mine tachyon. And quite a lot more. I'll tell you soon, but please, let's hurry. Will you take me there? I still haven't figured out whether to trust the doctor with my life or not. He continues without waiting for my reply when I don't immediately respond. You haven't had any reason to distrust me. I've helped you every step of the way. I have every reason to want you to succeed, because if you don't, I don't either. Please. Sure, but you only need me to succeed halfway. No, because I need your ship. I promise you I'll explain everything when we're on our way, and you will get back home. I promise. You must trust me on this. I stare outside into deep space and let the doctor's words sink in. This seems to be one of those pivotal, life-altering moments, where every choice seems to be the wrong one. I glance at Mars on the dashboard. I've never even set foot on it, but in this moment, with the prospect of traveling half a light year away, it feels as close to home as Earth. My life probably won't ever be the same again. I curse. Okay, Doc, give me the coordinates.